I think we can all agree that, regardless of individual taste, music is an art form in every sense of the word. Whether it be the precise, almost mechanical instrumentation, intricacies, and attention to detail in an average Dream Theater or Polyphia album, or it be the conceptual intricacies of an overall narrative theme, like in any world-class concept album from artists like Pink Floyd or Kendrick Lamar. It's a common conception, or I guess common knowledge, that all of these examples are purely auditory artworks. I mean, you don't have to be a music expert to understand that music is nothing but an array of sound waves that vibrate in a certain way to which our brains perceive as enjoyable music. But there are some musicians out there who once said, well, what if it's not? What if music can also be a visual piece of art? Before we move on, let's get one thing straight. Album covers are most certainly included as a piece of visual art that accompanies said music. As much as I could talk on end about some of the most artistic album covers to ever exist, we're not going to be touching that in this video. Instead, we're going to be talking about visual art that exists literally inside the music. And to do that, we first need to learn about a little thing called sonography, more commonly known as spectrograms. This is a visual representation of the spectrum of audio signals and the spectrum of waves that exist within said audio signal. A famous example of this is with the debut Joy Division album, Unknown Pleasures, which actually comes from an image of radio waves from pulsar CP1919 from the Cambridge Encyclopedia of Astronomy. While technically not a spectrogram, it is still a visual representation of a piece of auditory information, and just so happens to become one of the most instantly recognizable album covers of all time. Anyway, let's get back to spectrograms. Using any digital audio workstation and a spectrogram analyzer, we're able to see the audio waves being converted into a nice visual representation. Let's take a normal track through a spectrogram analyzer, let's say the Lavender Town theme from Pokemon Red and Blue, and see what the song might look like. As you can see, each little sound and differences in these sounds is visually represented in a way that, unless you study sonography for a living, looks like a jumbled mess of colors and shapes. But all the way back in 1999, one man decided to revolutionize this audio-visual boundary and use this spectrogram to cleverly hide a little piece of art inside the music. That man's name is Richard D. James, better known as Aphex Twin. On his 1999 EP Window Licker, there is a clearly unique title in the short track list, and it's within this track, which became known amongst the fanbase as simply Formula or Equation, that Aphex Twin decided to hide a piece of art inside the track. If you go all the way to 5 minutes and 27 seconds and listen to the last 30 seconds or so of the track, you'll hear a strange collage of electronic sounds whooshing and melting away. It's not exactly a musical segment of the track, or even a pleasant listening experience. But when you pass it through a spectrogram analyzer, this is what that sound looks like. Hidden in plain sounds is the twisted, warped, and disturbed picture of a grinning face, as if to welcome you to this terrifying realization that you've been listening to this person all this time. Although it looks quite nightmarish, this is actually a self-portrait of Aphex Twin himself, created using a program called Metasynth, in which users are able to essentially paint sounds using images. I'm not going to get into the technicalities of how it all works, but all you need to know is that this was, although subtle, still an incredibly revolutionary and groundbreaking artistic moment for electronic music, and would go on to inspire many other artists in similar genres. My first introduction to hidden images in spectrograms was in the song The Warning by 9 Inch Nails, off of their 2007 Year Zero. album, which is personally one of my favorite albums next to a Downward Spiral. I don't care what anyone says about that opinion. Similar to Aphex Twin's Equation, an image is hidden right near the end of the track, with what sounds like static fading out and back in to complete the song. But under a spectrogram, that static looks like this. A long, spindly arm and hand with wire-like string fingers looming down from top to bottom. It's pretty apparent that this image is in direct reference to the hand shown in the Year Zero album cover. But when I first discovered this for myself back in middle school, it was an incredibly exciting yet chilling experience. But not all hidden spectrogram images in music have to be ominous or scary. Sometimes the title of the track can be a direct reference to a possible hidden image. For example, the track 3 Recurring by the English electronic duo Played is a 47-second ambient electronic interlude that plays a continuous buzzing wave of electronics, and when looking at it through a spectrogram, shows the number 3 repeating over and over and over again, or as the title of the track might suggest, a 3 recurring. But what if an artist wanted to show off something wholesome and adorable by using the most hideous and difficult to listen to sounds that electronic music can produce? Well, Venetian Snares wanted to do exactly this on his 2001 album, Songs About My Cats. On the final track, Look, you're treated to what sounds like 31 seconds of random noise, but if you do what the title of the track suggests and look at it through a spectrogram, you will see this. Who knew that weird sounds can create such adorable images? There are still many more examples of artists playing with spectrography in their music, but the big question that I want to ask in this video is simply this: what's the point of all of this? Why hide secret images in a piece of music that is intended to be listened to and not seen? Well, there's a variety of reasons why an artist would do this, whether it be to experiment with sounds and spectrography just for the hell of it, like in the case with Played and Venetian Snares, or to show where the album cover image came from, like in the Avalanche's track Starsong.img off their We Will Always Love You album, to something a lot more artistic and meaningful. Let's touch upon this last example a little bit. If you're a fan of Aphex Twin, you'll know that this creepy grinning face at the end of the track Formula is not a once and done theme that Aphex Twin has done over his career. Just look at the covers for his later albums, I Care Because You Do, and the Richard D. James album. Both of these and many other EPs in his catalogue have a similar grinning image of Aphex Twin on their covers. In an interview, Richard explained the reason why he used his face in this way, saying, quote, "I did it because the thing in techno you weren't supposed to do was to be recognized and stuff. The sort of unwritten rule was that you can't put your face on the sleeve. It has to be like a circuit board or something. Therefore, I put my face on the sleeve. That's why I originally did it, but then I got carried away." End quote. Perhaps by hiding his face in the actual music and then later revealing it on album covers for one and all to see, he was quietly taking jabs at the nature of pop culture and commercialization in music, while at the same time showing his playful, unserious, and perhaps even slightly malice intentions in his music. Whatever it may be, there's no denying that it's a very Aphex Twin thing to do. And then we come back to Nine Inch Nails' Year Zero. I mentioned that this was one of my favorite Nine Inch Nails albums next to A Downward Spiral, and it's not just because of the music, but a combination of concept, theming, and overall insane promotion for this album rollout. I could very easily make an entire video on this album alone, but to simplify, Year Zero is a concept album about a dystopian look into reality in the year 2022 that stems from Trent Reznor's disdain towards contemporary American politics fueled by the 2004 American election period. So what does this have to do with the creepy spectrogram hand that we saw earlier? Well, the image was supposed to be discovered by fans, during the Year Zero ARG game that was created during the promotional period of the album. Nine Inch Nails sprinkled hints through album art, secret videos, and even USB sticks discovered in live venues to further expand the Year Zero universe and overall message that the album was trying to show. And one of those hidden messages, or Easter eggs if you can call it that, is the spectrogram image of a hand in the track, The Warning. If you read into the narrative and meaning of the song and the entire album in general, this hand, which is called The Presence, plays a pivotal role in the narrative that the album is trying to describe. It's a fascinating piece of musical narrative, which I hope to turn into its own video somewhere down the line. Regardless of whether it's used for a purely artistic purpose or for simply showing cute pictures of cats, hidden images in music through spectrograms is something that fascinates avid music listeners and adds an extra layer of fun and mystique to your music listening experience. There is without a shadow of a doubt that there are many, many more examples of hidden images in music that just haven't been discovered yet, still waiting to be uncovered by the next curious music listener. You never know, there could be a song that you listen to on a regular basis that could be hiding a secret message in its music all this time, just waiting for you to uncover and find it.